The alien queen wondered why I kept my distance. She never expected my desire to be the reason. Whispers across the void. The crystalline spires of Ethara Station glimmered like frozen lightning against the backdrop of the Carina Nebula. Taran Reed adjusted his formal attire nervously as the Earth delegation prepared to meet the representatives of the Nebulae Collective. After 3 decades of distant communication, this first face-to-face diplomatic mission carried the weight of both worlds. Remember, Commander Reed, Ambassador Chen whispered, the Nebulae are empaths. Control your thoughts and emotions. Their princess is particularly sensitive, Taran nodded, his military training kicking in. At 34, he was the youngest commander to be appointed as diplomatic security liaison, chosen specifically for his exceptional emotional discipline during the Martian crisis. When the doors to the grand reception hall opened, time seemed to slow. Amidst the delegation of tall, elegant aliens with their luminescent purple skin stood Princess Lyria. Her eyes, iridescent like opals, met his across the expanse, and Taran felt an immediate pull that defied explanation. The formal introductions proceeded according to protocol, but when it came time to greet the princess, Taran maintained a careful 3 paces of distance and offered a respectful bow instead of the customary hand-touch greeting. Commander Reed, Lyria's voice carried like wind through crystal. Your thoughts are unusually guarded. Her head tilted slightly, silver-white hair cascading over her shoulder. Most humans project their curiosity openly upon first meeting us. My apologies, Your Highness, Taran replied, his voice steady despite the inexplicable racing of his heart. I was instructed to maintain mental discipline in the presence of your people. A smile touched her lips. Quite thoroughly, it seems. Throughout the reception, Taran felt her gaze following him. Each time their eyes met, he experienced a strange resonance, as though something inside him recognized something within her. He redoubled his efforts to maintain distance and composure. Later, as Taran escorted Ambassador Chen through the station's botanical garden, they encountered Princess Lyria studying Earth flora with fascination. These adapt to alien environments remarkably well, she observed, her slender fingers hovering above a rose without touching it. Much like diplomats must, Taran offered, then immediately regretted speaking. Lyria's attention shifted fully to him. Yet you adapt by withdrawal, Commander. I sense barriers around you that the others don't maintain. Is our presence disturbing? Not at all, Your Highness. I simply believe in proper boundaries. Boundaries, she repeated, the word sounding foreign on her tongue. When my people seek understanding, we reach toward each other, not away. Something in her tone made Taran's carefully constructed walls waver. For a brief moment, his control slipped, and a flash of his genuine fascination with her escaped. Lyria gasped softly, her eyes widening. The nearby flowers trembled slightly, responding to some invisible energy. Commander, you are, she began, but Ambassador Chen approached, interrupting the moment. As they parted ways, Taran knew with certainty that maintaining his distance from Princess Lyria would be the greatest challenge of his diplomatic career, and perhaps his life. The dance of diplomacy. 3 weeks into negotiations, Taran found himself stationed outside the secondary conference chamber, listening to raised voices from within. The trade agreements between Earth and the Nebulae had reached a critical impasse over mining rights in the Carina sector. Your Federation demands access without offering equivalent value, came Lyria's voice. Unusually stern, Ambassador Chen's reply was measured but tense. The terraforming technology we've offered would transform 3 of your uninhabitable moons into viable colonies. Taran shifted uncomfortably. The political tension mirrored his personal one, a constant battle to maintain professional distance from Princess Lyria while being assigned to her security detail. Every day brought new challenges as her curious glances evolved into deliberate attempts at conversation. The chamber doors slid open, and diplomats from both sides emerged. Ambassador Chen looked weary. Commander Reed, please escort Princess Lyria to the cultural exchange. Perhaps arts will succeed where commerce has failed. Alone in the transport pod with Lyria, Taran maintained his position by the door, gaze fixed forward. Your thoughts are turbulent today, Commander, Lyria observed, her violet skin seeming to pulse with subtle bioluminescence in the pod's dim lighting. The negotiations concern us all. Your Highness. She stepped closer, and Terran instinctively backed against the wall. Confusion flickered across her features. 3 weeks, she said softly. 3 weeks of watching you orbit around me like a distant moon, always maintaining your careful ellipse. Even my father's most suspicious advisors have relaxed their guards, yet yours grows stronger. The pod arrived at their destination, saving Terran from responding. The cultural exchange featured both human and nebulae artists creating works together. One display showed holographic dancers, a human and nebulae, moving in synchronized patterns without touching. Beautiful, Lyria commented, watching the performance. They've found harmony without contact, much like you prefer. It's not preference. Your Highness, Terran replied before he could stop himself. Her eyes, those impossible, swirling opal eyes, fixed on him. Then what is it, Commander Reed? Fear? Disgust? Diplomatic caution? None of those, he said, his voice barely audible. A commotion interrupted them as Counselor Vex, a senior nebulae diplomat known for his anti-human sentiments, approached with his entourage. Princess, he addressed Lyria, while ignoring Terran completely. The human delegation has requested access to our ancestral archives. I've taken the liberty of refusing, Lyria frowned. That wasn't your decision to make, Counselor. These humans seek only technological advantages. They cannot be trusted with our heritage, Vex insisted, casting a suspicious glance at Terran. Some of them can barely control their primitive emotions. I sense turmoil from this one whenever he's near you. Terran stiffened, maintaining his composure despite the accusation. Commander Reed has shown exemplary control, Lyria countered. Surprising, Terran. Perhaps too exemplary. Escort me to the observation deck, Commander. We have matters to discuss privately. As they walked away, Terran could feel Vex's hostile gaze boring into his back. The political tensions were escalating, and now his personal struggle with Lyria had become entangled in them. Whatever she wanted to discuss, it would undoubtedly complicate everything further. Veiled Hearts, the observation deck offered a panoramic view of the nebula, swirling clouds of cosmic dust illuminated by distant stars. Terran ensured the space was secure before sealing the entrance, standard procedure for private diplomatic meetings. When he turned, Lyria stood closer than expected, her expression determined. No more evasion, Commander, she said firmly. Your distance wounds me, yet I sense it causes you pain as well. This contradiction has become distracting. Terran's heart raced. The warning signs were there, the slight vibration in nearby equipment, the faint shimmer in the air between them. Signs of her psychic energy responding to his proximity. Your Highness, I maintain distance for both our safety, he admitted, his voice strained. Safety? Confusion crossed her features. From what danger? Terran took a deep breath. Before this mission, I was briefed on an incident from 20 years ago. A human researcher and a nebulae scientist were working closely together when a psychic feedback loop formed between them. The humans suffered neurological damage, and the nebulae experienced what your medical records called resonance trauma. Lyria's eyes widened. The Callisto incident. But that was caused by experimental technology, not mere proximity. It was exacerbated by the technology, Terran corrected gently. The root cause was identified as intense emotional connection. The human had developed romantic feelings for his colleague, creating unusual patterns in his brainwaves that triggered the feedback. The realization dawned slowly across Lyria's face. You stay away because... Her voice trailed off. Because from the moment I saw you, Terran confessed, his composure finally cracking. I've been fighting an attraction that defies explanation or control. Your presence affects me in ways that could be dangerous for both of us. The admission hung between them like a tangible thing. Nearby instruments began to flicker as Lyria's emotional response manifested in waves of psychic energy. You desire me, she whispered. Not a question, but a revelation. More than is wise, he acknowledged. More than is safe. Lyria stepped closer, ignoring his instinctive retreat until her back met the observation window. The Callisto researchers were unprepared, untrained. But I've studied human neurological patterns extensively. Her voice softened. And I've felt this same pull toward you, Taryn. It's why your distance has been so painful. She raised her hand, fingers spread, stopping just inches from his chest. We nebulae believe that when minds call to each other across the void, there is purpose in their connection. The air between them seemed charged with electricity, with possibility, with danger. What are you suggesting? Taryn asked, his resolve wavering. That together we find a way to bridge this distance, carefully, scientifically. Her eyes held his. Intimately, a proximity alert sounded, indicating someone approaching the observation deck. They separated instantly, the moment broken, Counselor. Vex requests the princess's presence for the evening council. Came the announcement through the communication system. Lyria's expression hardened. Momentarily before returning to diplomatic neutrality. We will continue this discussion, Commander Reed. She moved toward the exit, then paused. Tonight, my quarters. We will find a way to be close without causing harm. As she departed, Taryn remained by the window, staring at the nebula, but seeing only her face, feeling both terror and exhilaration at what they were about to attempt. Beyond boundaries, Taryn stood outside Lyria's quarters, his hand hesitating over the entry panel. The corridor was empty. He'd made sure of that, adjusting security rotations to avoid scrutiny. What they were attempting wasn't explicitly forbidden, but the political implications alone would be explosive. When he finally entered, the room was dimly lit with bioluminescent crystals casting a soft azure glow. Lyria sat cross-legged on a meditation platform, surrounded by small devices he recognized as neural monitors. "You came," she said, relief evident in her voice. She wore simpler attire than her formal diplomatic robes, a flowing silver garment that complemented her purple skin. "I've been thinking about little else," Taryn admitted. "Though I'm not sure what you have planned." Lyria gestured to the equipment. "These will monitor our neural patterns and alert us to any dangerous resonance. I've also prepared these." She held up 2 slender bracelets. "Psychic dampeners. They'll create a buffer that we can gradually reduce." Taryn accepted one, noting its elegant design. "You've given this considerable thought. As have you, with your security adjustments." A smile touched her lips. "It seems we're both willing to risk much for this experiment." They sat facing each other, knees almost touching. The dampeners activated with a soft hum, creating what felt like a thin veil between them. "Now," Lyria instructed, "we'll start with minimal contact. Just fingertips." Slowly they reached toward each other. When their fingertips met, Taryn felt a gentle current, like static electricity but warmer, more alive. The monitors showed increased activity but nothing dangerous. "Your thoughts are beautiful," Lyria whispered, eyes half closed. "Like Earth oceans I've only seen in images." Gradually they progressed to palms touching, then fingers intertwining. Each new contact brought stronger sensations, flashes of color, fragments of memories, echoes of emotions. The dampeners prevented full psychic connection but allowed them to experience each other in ways that transcended physical touch. "Is this how nebulae always communicate?" Taryn asked, breathless from the intimacy of it. "No," Lyria responded, her voice husky. "This is different. This is us." Hours passed as they carefully explored this new territory between them, adjusting the dampeners incrementally, finding the threshold where connection became overwhelming but retreating before danger. When they finally separated, dawn was breaking outside the station's viewports. "Tomorrow," Lyria said as they parted, "the final session of trade negotiations begins." "Whatever happens there doesn't change this," Taryn finished for her. The following day brought crisis. Earth's delegation, frustrated by weeks of stalemate, presented an ultimatum regarding the mining rights. Simultaneously, Counselor Vex produced evidence of what he claimed was human espionage within nebulae archives. "These humans cannot be trusted," Vex declared before the assembled diplomats. "Commander Reed himself has been seeking unauthorized access to Princess Lyria, no doubt to manipulate her position in these negotiations." Taryn stood rigid as all eyes turned to him. Ambassador Chen looked horrified, while Lyria's face remained carefully neutral, a diplomat's mask that cut him more deeply than any accusation. "Is this true, Commander?" Ambassador Chen demanded. Before Terran could respond, Lyria stood. "Counselor Vex speaks from fear rather than fact. Commander Reed has maintained appropriate diplomatic boundaries." Her eyes met Terran's briefly. "However, these accusations highlight the fundamental issue: trust. Without it, no agreement can stand." She turned to address both delegations. "I propose a recess. 3 days to reflect on whether we truly wish to forge a lasting alliance, or merely a convenient arrangement." As the session adjourned in tense silence, Terran received new orders: immediate reassignment to the Earth vessel, pending investigation. He was being removed from the station, from Lyria, with no guarantee of return. That night, as he packed his sparse belongings, his door chimed. Lyria stood there, flanked by her personal guards who remained discreetly outside. "I've arranged passage for you on my personal shuttle tomorrow," she said formally, aware of potential surveillance. "There's a research outpost on Helios Prime where both our scientists study psychic phenomena. Your expertise would be valuable there." Understanding dawned in Terran's eyes. She was offering an alternative to separation. "And the negotiations?" he asked quietly. "We'll proceed better without Vex's interference. I've had him reassigned as well." A hint of the princess's power showed through her diplomatic veneer. Sometimes distance provides perspective, for politics at least. As she turned to leave, her hand brushed his, a fleeting touch that sent a cascade of images through his mind. Stars, warmth, possibility. "Until tomorrow, Commander," she said aloud, while her mind whispered something entirely different. Cosmic resonance. The research outpost on Helios Prime orbited a binary star system, bathed perpetually in golden red light. For 6 weeks, Terran and Lyria worked alongside a mixed team of human and nebulae scientists, officially studying psychic resonance between species, unofficially exploring the unique connection between themselves. Dr. Ilara Santos, the human neurologist heading the project, had quickly recognized the unusual patterns in their interactions. "Your neural compatibility is unprecedented," she explained during one examination. "Most humans and nebulae show complementary patterns, but yours are nearly synchronous, like finding the same melody in 2 different instruments." Through carefully controlled sessions, they had learned to connect without the dampeners for brief periods. Each time brought them closer to understanding the mechanism behind the danger and possibly overcoming it. Today's experiment was different. They sat within a circular chamber designed to contain and redirect psychic energy, their hands joined without dampeners. "Remember," Dr. Santos cautioned through the communication system, "at the first sign of feedback, we terminate." Lyria's fingers tightened around Terran's. "We won't need to terminate," she said with certainty. As they began the familiar process of opening their minds to each other, Terran felt the usual rush of connection, her thoughts flowing into his emotions washing over her. Colors swirled in his vision, purples and blues from her consciousness, reds and golds from his own. Then came the critical moment when, previously, feedback would begin to build toward dangerous levels. This time, instead of pulling back, Lyria pushed forward, drawing him deeper. "Lyria!" he gasped, alarmed. "Trust me," her voice echoed in his mind rather than his ears. The monitors showed accelerating patterns, energy levels climbing. Outside, Dr. Santos was shouting something, but their world had narrowed to just the 2 of them. The feedback loop began, energy cycling between them, amplifying. But instead of fighting it, Lyria guided them into it like diving into a wave rather than resisting its force. The sensation transformed from jarring dissonance to something harmonic, overwhelming but not destructive. For one breathtaking moment, they existed as neither human nor nebulae, but something between and beyond, a perfect resonance of 2 beings in complete understanding. When they emerged, gasping and trembling, the scientists were staring in astonishment at their readings. "You redirected the feedback loop," Dr. Santos said incredulously. "Created a stable resonance pattern. This changes everything we understood about cross-species psychic interaction." News of the breakthrough spread quickly. Within days, both Earth and the Nebulae Collective had dispatched senior representatives to the outpost. The discovery had implications beyond Taran and Lyria's personal connection. It offered new possibilities for deeper cooperation between their peoples. On the eve of the official delegation's arrival, they stood together on the observation platform, watching the binary stars perform their cosmic dance. "Tomorrow will bring politics back into our world," Lyria said, her hand comfortably entwined with his without dampeners or monitoring equipment. "Are you ready for what that means?" Taran asked. "Your people expect you to lead them someday. Mine barely understand what we've discovered here." Lyria turned to face him, her opal eyes reflecting starlight. "What we've discovered is that boundaries exist to be understood, not merely accepted. The same applies to politics, to traditions, even to the supposed limitations between different forms of life." She placed her palm against his chest, sending a warm current of connection between them. "They'll understand eventually. Until then, we'll be the bridge." "A rather intimate bridge," Taran noted with a smile. "The best kind," she agreed, drawing him closer. Their kiss brought the now familiar resonance, a gentle harmony of thoughts and emotions flowing between them. The scientists called it synchronized neural oscillation. Taran and Lyria had a simpler term for it. In the reports that would eventually reach both homeworlds, the phenomenon would be described in careful scientific language, a breakthrough in cross-species communication with diplomatic implications. The personal aspects would be footnotes, considered irrelevant to the broader significance. But as Taran and Lyria stood wrapped in each other's arms, watching one sunset and one sunrise simultaneously from the unique vantage point of their binary star system, they knew different. The political alliance between their worlds might be built on treaties and trade agreements, but the true bridge between human and nebulae had been forged in the space between two hearts that refused to accept the void between them. "To new frontiers," Taran whispered against her temple. Lyria's mind brushed his with a sensation like laughter, both between worlds and within them. Around them, the stars continued their ancient dance, while within them, a newer harmony played on, one that whispered of possibilities yet to be discovered, connections yet to be made, and a future where distance was merely a challenge to overcome, not an inevitability to accept.